Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Surviving Mars. In the last episode, we got our first group of colonists, and here they all are. They're already going to work and exploring their new life in our dome here. So, in this episode, hopefully, we'll be able to see if any of them are going to be able to survive for an extended period of time in their new life on Mars. So I'm not really sure how many more episodes we're gonna have of this series, but if you are enjoying it, definitely let me know so I can keep pushing out some more episodes. Yeah, and let's jump right into it. So I think what we want to do is we have our foundry stage, meaning our colony's under evaluation and we can't recruit any new colonists until our colony is evaluated positively, which means either we need to keep them alive for 10 days or have a child that's born during that time. And if we can have a child that's born, we'll be able to get some more new colonists right away and really continue to expand our colony here. So what we're gonna do is we're really gonna look at all the ways. Oh, we've got an incoming meteor. That's great. Okay, so now that our colony's gonna be wiped out by a meteor, I take back everything I've said in those last 30 seconds. We're gonna see if any of them survive and if there's really any viability left. Oh, there it is. There it goes. Well, so I think we really just have to repair this bit here, and we should have our drone doing that automatically. So let's speed up time here and see. Yeah, so that was not too bad at all. And we've got a cool little crater here that's been left behind by the meteor. Unfortunately, it seems like none of this space rock is salvageable. So it looks like the rest of our grid is having a couple problems. I'm not sure if this is back up and running just yet. No, looks like it's still repairing. But so hopefully we'll be able to. Yeah, we do need to get this back online to be able to power it. Because we are pretty low on power now, unfortunately. So the reason that we're losing so much power is because we have a leak, and that just needs to be repaired by our drones here. And that should go away as soon as that's done, and we'll have our power a little bit more stable. So there probably is some element to having some backup reserves in case you do have a power deficit, because obviously that has a huge impact on our dome here. And if we did have any less power than we have now, we could really have our colonists under some heavy pressure as a result of that leak and not having enough power to sustain life within the dome. So I went ahead and placed an infirmary here in our dome because firstly this will allow our medic to go to work and be able to provide some of those services. And the infirmary actually allows visitors to recover health and sanity. So it gives some passive boosts to that as well. But it also has a lower comfort requirement for the domes, or for the berths, and it does give some service comfort as long as it's in operation. And it's pretty low on resource requirements, so I think it's a really easy building for us to have right away and encourage our colonists to make some babies. I've also added a small garden right here, just in the middle of this kind of, this is where we grow our food, so this is the hydroponic system here. So this gives a passive boost to comfort as well, and it only has an upfront cost of concrete, which we have a lot of. So it seems like a really great way to boost some comfort up front there. And we can even place a little statue somewhere and just add a little bit of beauty to our dome here. Let's see, I'm not really sure we're good space for it, but also really boost comfort for our initial group of colonists. So I've gone ahead and I've ordered a couple more drones from Earth, and that ship is inbound to be able to deliver those drones. So we'll have 7 more drones that join our colony, And I've also created some wind turbines because we are still at a power deficit during the night, which is still a little bit problematic. We're able to use what we can store up during the day, but really it is running quite low when we do get into nighttime. So that's definitely a high priority, is being able to make sure that power is super sustainable within this game. Yeah, and now our dome has gotten into low power, so they all have hypothermia now. And I guess it's now just kind of a race to see if these drones can get these wind turbines up and running before the colonists freeze to death. So if you've been waiting to see how fast the colonists die off, the show's here. So our guy is freezing now. Look at them, they're so cold. It's so sad. So I fast forwarded a little bit, and I think I accidentally bought this rocket without any drones, which is what I intended to buy. I think I just went into the resupply screen, and I just went ahead and launched a rocket from Earth, just like this, with zero of everything, because I thought I had selected drones for it, and I did not have any actually. So this rocket is empty now, and it's just chilling here on Mars without any supplies for us. So great way to waste a little bit of money right there at the beginning. Another thing I've done is I've gone ahead and built a lot more power. So now we have 15 power even here at night, and so we shouldn't have any more near-death encounters like the last one. And I think I am going to go ahead and start going for some of these rare metals. I believe it's a good way to be getting some extra money if you are shipping those back to planet Earth. It's too far from our domes, right? So I think if we do want to extract that, we actually need to build a dome that's a little bit closer. Alright, I've gone ahead and bought a cargo rocket. Well, I didn't buy it, I used one of the ones that we already had this time. And so this one has resources in it now, is not empty. And this is going to be a restock of the stuff that we currently cannot produce here on Mars. These are kind of the prefab materials, so we're able to get those straight from Earth before we can start producing them ourselves. So in the beginning, you kind of need like the stimulus package of some of those rare materials until you have enough research, right, to be able to go into here and place the electronics factory, the machine parts factory, the polymer factory, and the fuel refinery. So one of our first goals will definitely be, okay, can we have enough money to be sustainable and be able to be getting that back and forth? And for the future, it will be also a bottleneck for fuel. So our first rocket is almost done refueling, and we'll almost be able to go back to Earth very soon. And the reason it's able to refuel in the first place, notice we don't have any fuel that we're producing. The reason it's able to actually refuel is because we do have that perk that we started out off with, the oligarch perk. Actually, it might not be that one, it might be a different one. Either way, that does allow our rockets to passively, magically, conjure up some fuel and be able to refuel automatically. So it's super nice in the beginning stages of this game where we're able to periodically send rockets back and forth from Earth and give us some of those excess supplies, which is great. Looks like we have some new technologies we can research, so we're almost done researching our next couple technologies here. So the tech tree is really opening up, I think, in terms of the options that we have, which is pretty exciting. Soon we'll be able to get into the meat of some of that later research and be able to be a bit more self-sufficient from Earth. Looks like we have a lot of excess food as well that our colony is able to produce, which is great. So I think our dome here is not in trouble nearly as much. We do have a lot of excess electricity, so I do want to get another accumulator if possible. It is maintained with polymers, which is pretty expensive, or difficult to acquire as we start out, but I think really having security in terms of electricity is going to be a good move in the beginning of the game here. So we are able to resupply pretty often because of our perks, so it shouldn't be too draining on our resources. I love seeing the little army of drones just carrying rocks back and forth. And so they've all got little rocks that float above their heads, and I'm not really sure, how they're holding onto those. Obviously, this is somewhat a low gravity environment, I believe. I'm actually not sure what the gravity is on Mars, but it does seem to be just hovering above their heads. So, it's interesting if that's realistic or not. If anyone knows how that works, leave a comment. I'm sure we'd all love to learn that insight about how these drones are able to do it. I would love to be able to get that skill of transporting heavy objects and rocks and whatnot without having to hold it. Maybe I can make it levitate as well, so I think that's just great. So it looks like right now, no babies will actually be born because the comfort of our citizens is too low. So we require 55 comfort based on all of our perks to be able to have the babies. And our current comfort is 46. And the biggest reason looks like, I'm not sure how or why exactly, like, these numbers don't add up to that 55. It's gone up 1 point now, so maybe we will get some going in the future. But the biggest reason is because they want to be shopping. And unfortunately, I don't think we can have that building staffed. Right, we have a lot of vacant work slots, so I'm not sure if that's a major priority that we're able to fulfill on right away. I think one thing that's interesting with this game as well is there's a limit to how much you can really just put it on speed 3 and wait for resources to trickle in, because at least in this early game where you're not able to produce some of those advanced resources, you do have maintenance that you're incurring on everything. And so a lot of the city builders that I play, I can just put it on speed 3 and wait for citizens to pay taxes or generate resources however I do that. And by playing on speed 3, I can get to a point where I've skipped the early parts where you're struggling with money and I have a lot of money and I can do whatever I want. So I do think that's a pretty interesting dynamic there. So our rocket full of resources has finally arrived. There's its shadow and there it is. And now we'll be able to maintain some of our buildings that require those rare late tier resources to be able to operate. So we've got our drones coming out, and hopefully we'll be able to get that up and running soon. And I'll actually drop down a universal depot pretty close here to be able to store some of those resources that they're all unpacking now. And again, it's all levitating in the little pallets there. Okay, so for our research, which is now a little bit more dynamic, we can choose again to salvage and destroy buildings, to generate research per soul for each explorer vehicle. We can get probes that are cheaper and can deep scan. We can improve our engineers and geologists, or our scientists and botanists, or we can have Martian-born citizens gain some performance. So I think we'll upgrade our scientists and botanists, because I know we definitely have those that we have in our colony and they're working, and that'll be something that we can get some performance from right away. So we're gonna send our first rocket back to Earth just because it's ready to go back, it's full of fuel, and if we do want another shipment, it'll be good to have a rocket that's ready to do that. And so we have unlocked a couple things just because we did launch that rocket, so it is an achievement. And so we found a couple planetary anomalies, I think as a result of doing that. And that's, I believe, something that we can send an expedition. This one requires people, and I believe it also requires a rocket itself. So similar to the one that we researched before. And with all of these, there's a lot of different satellites. I'm not sure if these are what we have available, but we do again require rockets. And yeah, these are some more projects that we can do, but we don't have any rockets right now that can do that because they are all still refueling.
Building a new home on an alien say the least.
So one of our colonists has gained a trait. Looks like she is an enthusiast, which gives her a performance boost when she has high morale. Unfortunately, it's not super high right now, but we should be able to have some bonuses that come from her later. So it looks like it is a dynamic system where they're getting traits and they're losing traits and everything's changing with them all the time. So our environment that we create here on Mars is really important for shaping them to be effective workers, which sounds a little planned economy, but really isn't that what this is anyway. So the main thing that our colonists are still asking for is shopping. We're very close to having 55 comfort, but I think I will throw in the shopping station here right away, the art store here, just to be able to really increase that comfort even above 55 maybe. Give them access to some of those services, and this building will actually give them more than just shopping. It'll give them luxury as well. So they'll be able to choose between luxury and shopping, which hopefully will really increase their comfort and increase the chance of us having babies and expanding this dome here in the future. So our dome here finally has more than 55 comfort, and so our colonists will now be able to have children. And I assume this really is a random chance. We can see that there's 2 males and 4 females that currently want children. So hopefully this is something that just comes in with time. And if it helps, we can actually build some buildings within. Yeah, we can build the nursery, and this will provide residential space for children. It's not very expensive at all, so maybe we will throw that in right away just to give a little bit of space and also encourage our colonists maybe to have children a little further. So it looks like our RC Explorer here is actually malfunctioned because it scanned an anomaly and that anomaly must have exploded in its face or something along those lines. So the only thing we're going to be able to do is grab our RC Commander, which is a moving station for our drones, to be able to grab those and be able to repair them. So I'm hoping that we can just move it with all of our drones over here. Let's see if it's moving out. So all the drones are piling in right into the back there. And it's moving. So it's traveling over, and hopefully we should have that repaired pretty soon to be able to scan some more anomalies. So I think our next goal here will be able to grab some of these underground rare metals, because that's something that we can export and get a little bit of extra money in the long run. So to be able to do that, we need a dome here in this area, and we can actually grab this micro dome to be able to, it'll be the cheapest one. We won't need any polymers in the long run, so it's the very basic resources that we can get there. However, the only thing is it requires some more water that we're currently producing, and I don't think we can put in a water extractor, but we're not really close to any water nodes or water deposits that I am aware of. So we won't be able to get that one. We can get a moisture vaporator, and that's something that we're going to have to buy from the rocket, or from the supply back from Earth. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done a huge order of parts here, or prefabs I should say. So we are going to grab a moisture vaporator, which will allow us to have some extra water and be able to get our second dome down. The next thing is I've got one of each of the other prefabs, so we'll start having our own supply of all the tier 3 materials. And these do cost quite a bit of money, but we do have enough funding in our bank account right away, and it should be a lot cheaper than I'm pretty much spending that same amount on getting polymers, machine parts, and electronics here. So that'll be a big step towards being self-sufficient, even if we don't use that stuff right away. So I've launched that rocket, and it should be here pretty soon. Our drones have repaired our RC Explorer, so now can go back to analyzing anomalies whenever we find those. I don't think we have any that are on the map right now, which is fine. So we'll have that chill out right there, and we'll send our RC commander all the way back to our base so that those drones can work on whatever other projects come up. So it looks like our rocket with all those prefabs that we ordered is finally here. So let's go ahead and land that rocket and place some of those prefabs.
Sector scanned. Select a sector to scan.
And so now our drones will be able to unload this rocket, and I'm not really sure if they have to put any of those prefabs anywhere. Maybe we can just access them right away. Yeah, that appears to be the case. So we can go ahead and put our moisture boy right ahead on our pipe. And I'm realizing this is an electrical pipe. Can we cancel this? Okay, hopefully we get our prefab back, and we do. Okay, great. So I believe if we go like this, this is the water pipe, so we should be able to have that in the grid. Let's go ahead and scan a sector quickly. Let's just get something with some more concrete and metals that's pretty close to our location. We'll grab this one. And let's see what other prefabs we've gotten. Right, so we've got the polymer factory, the electronics factory, the machine part factory, and we don't have a fuel refinery, which is fine. So I'm not sure. Okay, yep, so yes. Each time that you place the prefab, it has the consumption, but it's not going to have any initial costs to it. So we can place all of these whenever we want right away. So it looks like the best one for us to get immediately is going to be the machine parts factory, actually, because it just consumes power and metal. I'm not sure that we have enough power on our grid to be able to use it effectively. So we could always like have it just be not operating whenever there's a problem. But I am going to go ahead and throw down even more wind turbines in this area here. Yep, just because our nighttime power is not quite at the level where that can be sustained right now. And we do have a lot of metal, and it's pretty easy to get as well. Or I suppose concrete is what I meant for these wind turbines. So each one of these does give us 5 power, so that's 20. Okay, we've got 30 extra power from placing 6 of them. So that should be close enough, especially during the daytime, because we do have a lot that we're generating during the day that is getting stored. So I think that's pretty safe to be able to place that machine part factory. It does require a dome, so we can drop it into our existing dome here. So it looks like we've got a chance card here. Our wind turbine's propeller barely rotates under the Martian wind, and there's a problem. There's a design flaw that's apparent. It's hampered by a gradual accumulation of dust that's an inevitability on Mars. As a result, all the turbines are producing less power than we expected. Mission Control has suspended the further construction of wind turbines until we manage to come up with a lighter design. So we can now research the wind turbine redesign to solve the problem. So we're able to spend some of our machine parts for emergency maintenance so that we can have full power production, or just do nothing. So I think we will, and I assume this is 1 maintenance per turbine, which will be pretty expensive, unfortunately. But we will queue up that tech, actually as soon as possible. So yeah, it just is 1 more per soul, which isn't the worst thing possible. But let's see here. It costs 1,500 to research. I want to see, do we lose our current research? Okay, well I think we just did. Yeah, which is fine. Oh no, it is saved at 17% because we switched. So there's really no switching cost, and we'll be able to get that as soon as possible. We can also outsource some research to Earth, and it's pretty expensive. I mean, we do have the money, but you're only getting 1,000 research. I'm not sure if it's per soul for 5 souls or if it's after 5 souls or how that exactly works. But I don't think it's super necessary given the scale of this problem here. Okay, so our machine parts factory is operating, so we should be getting some machine parts going in very soon, which is good because we are losing a lot of machine parts due to that outage. So it'll be a little. Oh, are machine parts this actually? No, those are electronics. Okay, so this building's just maintained with electronics. So that's no worries. We'll be getting, yeah, 2 production per soul. So we should be pretty sustainable on machine parts very soon. So that's our first step towards self-sufficiency. Let's check in on the babies that we're making. So our comfort is still over 55, but looks like we don't have men that want children. It says the average comfort of all fertile couples is too low, which seems like it's really a dice roll that the men happen to have pretty low comfort. And we're not able to get it very high past, what was it, 55? It's only at 59 on average, so we might RNG be able to get some, but the chance is still pretty low and not much higher than 0. Which is okay because we only have a little bit less than 2 souls until we're able to get out of the founder stage. Meanwhile, our first dome here is almost full, which is great because we're on track to build the second one. So I've placed the second water thing. We do have 1 water now, and we can actually place that second dome immediately, I believe. Let's see. So we can do, yeah, the micro dome. And it's not as small actually as I thought it would be. So I think this might be a pretty good little spot for it. Really the only purpose of it is to be able to get access to that node. Okay, so with that, we're getting our second dome up and running, and it will be all ready to go actually as soon as we have all these connections to it built. Yeah, and with that, I think we've made a lot of progress in this episode. We've got our first advanced building, and we're really close to being out of the founder stage as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and let me know if you want to see more of Surviving Mars, and I'll see you next time.